This is the Rat Alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
For 5 years, 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from somewhere along the modern wonder known as the Interstate Highway System. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim. Today is September the 18th, 2023, and this is episode 368 of Workshop Radio. How the hell is everyone out there this evening? Good to see you. It's an impromptu live stream. Like I told you, you just don't know what's going to happen when you're live on the road. So I hope everybody's having a great time. Came tonight to give you guys a roundup of the workshop meetup. It was a hell of a time. We'll get into that in a minute. I got a couple of quick announcements for you. Number one, I don't even know. Is this an announcement? I'm not sure. But see you at Prepper Camp. That's all I got to say. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, it's kind of too late. But yeah, I hope I get to see you. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be speaking Friday, Saturday, Sunday on preparedness. I'll be putting some finishing touches on that today and tomorrow just so that I make sure it's there. I see Backwoods Butcher. He says, the man, the myth, the legend. I think he's talking about me, but he should be talking about himself, you know. Hey, Hunter, good to see you. Number two, check out Nate and Aaron's Wednesday episode. So if you guys don't listen to the Two Chicks Homestead podcast, you honestly really should. They're incredible people, incredible friends who put on an incredible event with no help from me whatsoever. They just did, man, what one hell of an event it was. So anyway, we recorded around their living room, or their kitchen table, the morning after the event, a nice kind of roundup, sum up of what happened. There was Aaron, there was Nate, there was myself, and of course, Big Bad, the Don of EMT Don himself. So check that episode when it comes live. And finally, guys, if you haven't picked up your tickets for Self-Reliance Festival, selfreliancefestival.com. It's pretty cool. I filmed a live, blurb or, anyway, it's a pretty neat short. If it hasn't been released yet, you're going to love it. It's about finding your tribe. I filmed it at the workshop meetup, but I just can't wait to see everybody there. I know Yosik's going to be there. I know Jeff and Sandy, who came to our place earlier this year while it was still north of the border. Can't wait to see them. Yes, Backwoods Butcher himself, the crazy dude that shoots cows in the woods, and it's not even cow hunting season, so go figure. Anyway, he's going to be there. Brian Alexovich. The list goes on and on and on. Speak of the devil, and there he is, Nate Lemaster. I haven't seen you in 36 hours, brother. Good to see you. All right, so here we be. It's going to be a more laid-back episode. I just got a whole bunch of bullet points I wanted to share with you on how the event went. And if you can't tell, it was a blast. I didn't know what to expect. I don't think Nate and Aaron knew what to expect either. I think they were excited. We were all cautiously trepidatious. That's not even a word, Tim. Where are you pulling that out of your ass? Anyway, hey, Robin Holstein, good to have you. Yosik, all your base are belong to us. That is a deep cut, brother, that I don't think very many people are going to know. But that is, if I remember, that is a poor Oriental to English translation. I know Oriental isn't a language. I just couldn't remember which one it was from a video game way back when, or it could have just been a spoof of it anyway. So, yeah, I don't know if we knew what to expect. And here's the thing, something Nicole Sauce always told me, that when you have an event, especially the first one, you want to plan for everything. You want to expect great things, but you also want to understand that first events tend to be, I'm using the word first, but events in general, the first time you have an event tend to be underwhelming. And also, I've been very, very, I've been told many times that if you throw a free event, people typically don't show up. Well, we blew that expectation right out of the water. because Nate and Aaron were so generous to do this that there was no charge whatsoever. It was just a workshop meetup, a Two Chicks Homestead meetup, and we ended up with, I believe the official total was 27 people, which is just blew me out of the water. We thought absolute best case scenario, if everybody showed up, they all brought a dog and their kids, and no, whatever. Anyway, if everybody showed up from the group chat, that we would be pushing 30 people. But I think we all kind of figured, hey, you know what? We'll probably get half of that, because that's normally what happens. People who commit or say they're going to come, and you get about half. Well, no, we didn't. We got all of them and then some. Angie Marie, we had a great time too. Well, I'm speaking about myself in the royal plural or whatever it is. But yeah, no, it was absolutely awesome. Yozik, you are right. Oh yeah, Nate says 28 with a neighbor. There you go. Byron Roberts, great to see you. I sent you a PM on Telegram, brother. If you happen to see it, message me back later. So I'm officially, I might as well tell you where I'm sitting right at the moment, but I'm at the Best Western, the Airport Best Western in Louisville, Kentucky right at the moment. So yeah, I'm fairly close to Byron. We'll see where we, anyway, I don't want to throw it out there, Byron, but if you get it, oh, perfect. I'll check it out when I'm off there. That's probably the Telegram message that just showed up. So, all right. So where do we go from there? Like I said, if I was just kind of throwing everything out there, I'd be all over the place. So let's work through the notes. For me, let's talk about the highlights first, and that's food. I know, me talking about food, it's like, what the hell, right? I know. And we lost. Odyssey went down tonight. Let's close that one. There we go. Don't know what just happened, but no big deal either way. So we started the evening with deep dish pizza, Chicago-style deep dish pizza, which and I'm a huge fan of Chicago pizza. And Erin messaged me about a week before I get to the event. She's like, hey, Tim, anything you want us to pick up? And I was like, well, if deep dish pizza was on the menu, I would not be disappointed. Anyway, so it was really cool, because the best part about an event when you're behind the scenes at an event is getting to hang out with your really good friends ahead of time before all the busyness and the insaneness kicked up. So I got to get there. I got there about the same time Nate showed up from getting home from work, and we had supper together. Him, Aaron, and the Two Chicks, and myself. And it was so great, because I hadn't seen them in person in almost 18 months. So yeah, it was awesome. I try to tell them how much I appreciate them, and I hope they know how much I appreciate them. But for friends like they are, to put together an event like we just had was awesome. It was. So anyway, deep dish pizza was great. Plus, Erin got a thin crust pizza with sausage on it. These were both, I believe, from her favorite place growing up. So I always loved trying those. Breakfast burritos that Erin put together. Holy crap! I don't think there was any special recipe on it, but she put them together. Nate got up at like 3:00 in the morning to start the pork belly bites. I mentioned to Becky, I called her last night. I'm like, honey, I want a smoker. And she's like, I think I've been trying to talk you into getting a smoker for a long time now. And I didn't remember that, or I said I didn't remember it. But anyway, so I got my eye on one now. I mean, Nate started, all kidding aside, I think it was around 6:30 in the morning. And they were ready, I think around 4:30, something like that, about 8 to 10 hours to do it. And they were so good, guys. These are full slabs of pork belly. And yeah, thank you, Nate. It's a stand-up bullet smoker. And that thing was awesome. Oh, it's simple. It's just charcoal. And I think he said hickory. If I'm wrong, Nate, reprimand me here in the comments. But I think that's what it was. And yeah, there's not a ton of work. You just keep checking up on it every so often. If you don't see smoke coming out of it, it's like, oh, time to add some more wet wood to it. So yeah, it was. But I'm telling you right now, those chunks, those bite-sized chunks of pork belly that were smoked all day, slathered in barbecue sauce, nothing better. And if I hadn't fallen in love with it before, I love it now. And that's apple pie moonshine. I had apple pie moonshine at prepper camp last year. And then I had it again the other night around the bonfire at Nate and Aaron's. Yeah, I got to get my hands on some of that stuff. If Chris Dixon, if you're listening to this at the even on the replay, if you don't happen, I don't think I've seen him in here yet tonight, but if he's around, brother, I got to get some some liquid fuel from you to make my own apple pie moonshine, because that is a damn addictive thing. There you go. Nate said 5:30. I don't even know how he did it. I was still sound asleep when he was up. So if I had to pick a single, I don't know. I can't pick a single highlight from the entire thing. But if you guys, and I'm sure you've seen this, but the door hanging sign that Aaron made, the wood burnt sign for the Delinquent's Gully, that meant so much. It is so friggin' cool. I love it. It made me tear up, and it was legit. It was a surprise right out of left field that I didn't see coming, and I love those guys for it. Okay. When I talk about these events, the thing that I love the most and the thing that I go to them for is to hear other people's stories. I don't go there to talk about myself. I go there to speak, of course, at other events, but I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear the good and great shit that everybody has done. So I took as many, hey, Red Moose Farms, can't wait. I think we're seeing him pretty soon here too. That'll be great. So I wanted to give you guys a taste of some of the stories that I got shared with me at this event, and so that you maybe can just get 10% of the power that I get from other people's stories. That's what recharges my battery. Even though I leave these events exhausted, tired, and wonder, oh man, why? No, I never leave thinking, why did we do that? I always know why, but it's always you just leaving, driving away, and you're like, oh man, I need to sit down for a bit, which is the reason why I like to drive from these events, right? Backwood says, I was thinking about you doing the meetups. If you ever want to do one on the East Coast, I'm sure we could throw one together, a butchering class to go with it. We'll call it an MEAT up meetup. Yes, 100%. I don't know if we'll get it done in 2024, but I really want to come up there. It would be fun to do one in each section of the country eventually, and we'd have a hell of a time. We call it like the travel. I don't know. You guys come up with a name for it, but hey, Lone, there's my brother, Lone Canadian, need a holiday to recover from the holiday. Well, that's what the next couple of days are. So I have 2 nights booked here at the hotel so far. I can take 3 if I decide to, because I'm 6 hours from prepper camp right now. So I haven't been able to get a hold of Bill Fortune yet. I'm going to try calling him again tomorrow. And if not, I might be able to catch him after the event. But either way, I have a 3-day window to just kind of get reset. So I spent quite a bit of time yesterday when I pulled in. So I spent the night just outside of Indianapolis. I pulled in, it was piss pouring rain. So once it dried up, the sun came out. I did a bunch of things. I got the 500 watt power station. I got that plugged into the new solar panel. I got put on the tonneau cover, the box cover. So I got that charging back up. I haven't checked it yet. I should check it now, but I had to get the tent out. I'll talk about that a little bit. Get it shaked out. Anyway, I got all the water off it. I had to bring my bedroll in because it got a little bit damp just to dry it out in the hotel. But mainly it was just, the vehicle wasn't a mess. It was just cluttered up, because what happens is, you have everything packed beautifully. And then when you're ready to leave, everything just goes back into the truck, especially when it's raining. You don't have much time to do it. So it was nice to just take some time. And that's kind of how I decompress, is organizing. I've mentioned it before that if I'm stressed out or overworked or kind of exhausted, I like to go out to the workshop and organize the garage. So, the workshop mobile is kind of my mobile shop. So that's what I got to do. Put it all back together and make it feel right again. So that was kind of what I did last night. So here we go. The stories. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm going to give you kind of the gist of a whole bunch of stories I heard. That way I'm not betraying. I didn't ask everybody if I could share their stories. So these are just kind of general thoughts of badassery and kickassery that people shared with me. I met a dude who built a custom retro computer piece of hardware that allows a metric shit ton of old devices. Like, we're talking long put to bed 1980s technology to get on the internet today. I don't even know how you get passionate about that, or how that becomes your thing, or even how you decide someday, hey, you know that Atari computer in the back closet that's been there since, I was in 2nd grade or whatever? I'd like to put that on the internet. Anyway, so he's creating an incredible product for somebody. Love it. Also makes custom circuit boards, so you probably know who that is anyway. We met a lady who despite her unassuming figure, she is a power lifter. Blow you out of the water. How friggin' cool is that? Plus, she's also a successful entrepreneur, which doubles up. But you'll see her. Actually, she's in the total when we did the roundtable. So yeah, it's not like she was hiding it, but we were all very surprised when she's like, "Hey, I'm a deadlifter," and we're like, "No shit, good for you." An incredible, really, really good friend made it official at the meetup that he is starting a ham radio business. I bet you can guess who that is. And I was lucky enough to be his first customer, so which was good. Hey, David Sigler. I never asked you, David, are you going to be at Self-Reliance Festival? Because I'd love to see you and your hairy companion if you happen to be. And Lone Canadian says, when you're back, if you feel the need to organize or clean up to decompress, I'll volunteer my shop. Yes, sure thing. Oh, and we got Darkwing Dave in here over on Twitch. And Hunter over on Twitch. Good to have you. Oh, good. Well, it'll be good to see you, David. I can't wait to see you. And yes, drink. Oh, yeah, we did say ham radio, didn't we? So, yeah, good friend of mine officially launched his entrepreneurial venture. Super excited about that. Met another incredibly cool dude who rode to the event. I believe it was something like 20 miles on this super cool electric bike. It's like a battery-powered pedal assist bike. I stood there and picked his brain on that thing for half an hour to an hour, but didn't know the guy from Adam beforehand, but he told me a story about how he is looking for his dream piece of property and how he's going to be debt-free next year. Can't go wrong with that. What else we have here? An incredible story of a husband and wife. I talked to these guys for a long time. Just meeting them, both of them have smiles that just light your world up. But the dude shared with me his story of being an immigrant in his early teens, and now he's become a successful entrepreneur. His wife is also a successful entrepreneur, but they're also juggling 2 young babies. And they're doing, like, not literally juggling the babies. That would be illegal. But they're just kicking ass and taking names and making life what they want it. And you know what? Nobody said it's easy, but it's sure as hell worth it. I got to meet Yozik in person and his incredible soon-to-be wife, which was awesome. It was so much fun hanging out with Yozik. I was really glad to see him. He's exactly what you would expect in real life. So he doesn't hide anything. His internet personality is exactly what his real life personality is. And most people will be like, that's a good thing. Hey, Joker Lee's good to have you. And I met a single dad who is doing what he needs to do to get shit done. He's starting work in the morning earlier than some people go to bed. Let's just leave it at that. But you know who you are out there, dude, and I'm really proud of you. And I know life's jumped up and kicked you where it shouldn't have, but you're doing it. So thank you. I got to spend some time with my brother from another mother, EMT Don. Him and I, the minute we met, we hit it off. And that was 1.5 years ago at Nicole's Living Free in Tennessee Spring Workshop. And I kept trying to figure out ways for us to get back together and meet up in person. And this time we finally did. We kept looking at the clock thinking, is Don going to make it? Is Don going to make it? And I was getting kind of nervous. I wasn't going to get to see him, but I did get me some Don hugs. So that was more than exceptional. It was good to see him. And I'll bet you, guaranteed, that I forgot as many stories as I remembered. And I hope everybody knows out there, and you guys will know this, the longer you get to know me, you could tell me your name and 5 minutes later, I will forget it. And it's not because I don't care. It's because there's just some sort of disconnect in my head with names. I don't know what the hell it is, but I did really, really good this time at trying my darndest to remember them all. Hey, Chuck Peoples, good to see you. And Nate and Aaron helped me when, the spirit was willing, but the flesh wasn't able because, it's tough sometimes. And anyway, no excuses. I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. But you guys are all incredible out there. And these stories, this is what, that's what tops up the old lithium ion battery inside of me. When I leave, no matter how tired I am, my spirit, is that the word we're looking for? Is, it's just topped up. It's probably overflowing. And, lithium fires are dangerous. So you want to be careful. But if you want to get boosted up also, this is the type of thing I'm telling you. So here, I had some thoughts about in-person meetups and how much I love them. Of course, you guys know all this anyway. But I loved it. I loved seeing everybody. I loved being there. I love the fact that Becky and I have built our lives so that we can go to these events and spend time away from kind of, the center of our universe and kind of expand the center of our universe more. But here's the thing. The entire time I was there, and it didn't put a damper on it, but I kept thinking, the one thing that would make this better is having my wife with me, because I've now had her at Living Free in Tennessee twice and at Thrivalist Fair this year in Washington. And when I have her at these events, it like supercharges what I get out of these events. And number one, she's there. She holds me down. She, she keeps me in line. But more than that, she sits at the table and she's able to meet people and make connections for me and send people my way and sell merch so that I don't have to be chained to the table or just not be there, because I know there's people who want it. But more than that, it just gives me a partner to enjoy this with, because how much better is it? And we were talking about this the other day. How much better is it when you come away from an event with someone that you've been at it with, so that you have shared memories? That's what we do. We create these communities and these shared memories that we take away. And so when you come back from an event like this without your significant other, you can tell them about it, but you don't quite have that connection of shared memories on them. So that's what I'm working toward. And more and more and more, that's what we're going to do. And that's part of it. But we know in the interim, of course, that there's going to be these times when for these 36 days, I'm going to be down here and she's going to be up there. Robin Holstein says, I appreciate that. Says, I forget names also. Sometimes it's just too many things happening at once. Sometimes it's just that I forget. My brain is always heading to the next thing. And so I think that's why I'm really damn good at remembering concepts or, basic concepts or theories or formulas, that sort of thing. But the specifics, I don't always do. It's like a book. I can listen to an entire book and I can tell you all about what happened. But unless it's a 10-book series, it's 50-50 whether I remember the protagonist name as soon as I leave. It doesn't mean that I don't remember other things. It's just that shit's gone. I don't know. Joker Lee says, I'd love it if you'd come to Manitoba and do one of these meet and greet things somewhere other than southeastern Manitoba. You know what? We could, we'll work on it. It would be absolutely nice to do something in Canada too. I would love that. And we're going to work on it. A few thoughts on that. So you guys know the workshop didn't happen this year. And there's a few reasons, but I did put tickets out and I didn't get the bites that I wanted. And I also discovered that I personally hate organizing events. I don't like it at all. And one of my thoughts coming out of this event is how much I love low impact events. My idea of a perfect event is getting a bunch of people together, having some drinks, having some food, and then spending time sharing stories. Because that's what I want to hear what you want to do with your life. I want to encourage you to do the things that you want to do. And I just want to socialize and fellowship with all the like-minded people. And so that's kind of why I like these meet and greets, the meetups, or whatever you want to call them. That's why they're so important. So yeah, we're going to keep working on these and we're going to get some more done. And maybe we'll do like the Great Workshop Road Trip sometime, and we'll plan a shit ton of these events all around. It would be a lot of fun. Or maybe we'll do 1 or 2 a year. I don't know. But either way. Another thought, like I said, I was blown away by how many people showed up. I know I kind of spoiled the notes earlier by talking about it, but I really was. When you have these events, you really don't know until the day of. And even mid-morning of the event, there was still only maybe a half dozen people there, a little better. And then everybody just showed up. And the more people showed up, the more excited we got. And still get chills thinking about it because it was a great time. The rain wasn't that bad at all during the event. The final evening and the next morning for breakfast, yeah, there was a lot of rain. But for the entire event, it wasn't bad. Poor Aaron was stressed out to the max about the rain. We all, the entire weekend kept looking at the forecast and we're like, all right, like we could control it at all. But being worried about it It's just one of those things you do. It's a country thing, I think. But we just kept checking the weather, and it kept moving. And Saturday morning, it was sprinkling a bit, but it wasn't that bad at all, really. No matter how much I talk about in-person meetups and how powerful they are, I still forget how powerful they really are. And again, it's one of those things. It's like I always go back to one of the cheesiest movies, but Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser. So he lives in an underground bunker for, I believe it's 30 years, when his father thinks, oh, shit's happening. And yeah, they're down there. So the entire time, Christopher Walken is the dad. Brendan Fraser is the son. Christopher Walken is trying to explain to his son how baseball works. And all along, he keeps saying, well, when he hits the ball, he has to run. And Brendan Fraser says, well, why? And then Christopher Walken says, because he must. And Brendan Fraser is like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, it's like when you try to explain something to a kid and they say, oh, yeah, I understand. But they really, really don't. And then Brendan Fraser has this moment when he finally comes up out of the bomb shelter he's been in since the 60s, I guess it was. And he's having a hot dog or whatever at the baseball game. And he sees somebody get their very first hit. And he gets this big smile on his face. And he's like, I finally get it. I understand what people have been talking about. And that's the moment that everybody gets the first time they go to an in-person meetup with like-minded folk. He runs because he must. When you go to these, you finally get, oh, that crazy friggin' Canuck, even though he spent, I don't know, 10 or 20% of his year, he's still a Canuck down in the States. I finally get what he's been talking about. I finally get why he does this, why he spends 36 days on the road, why he brags about how much fun and how recharging it is to get together. Because once you do it, it's like drugs. You can't give it up. But then you finally understand baseball. Does that make sense? Okay. Hope so. I tried my damnedest to meet up with absolutely everybody. For me, that's what I do. At these events, again, I want to talk. And I specifically make myself, not because I'm not saying this because it's like, oh, I have to do it. No, I make myself go around and talk to absolutely everybody, no matter how much I'm enjoying a conversation, because of course you do click with certain people at certain times, but everybody there is awesome. And everybody has a story and you got to get around. And I think I made time for everybody. There might've been one couple that I only had just a really passing conversation with, but this is the first event I've ever left where I thought, I didn't miss anybody this time. So if I did, I apologize. But yeah, for me, that was a win, because that's kind of the highlight of my event, if I can get to talk to absolutely everybody. Like I said, I love the laid back events with spontaneous kind of conversations more than anything. Let's talk about my tent setup, hey? I absolutely love this tent. And I've told you guys about this tent before. But now that I've had 2 full nights in it at Nate and Aaron's, let's give you some thoughts. Okay, so first was the big, stupid mistake I made. So the first night I slept in it, no problem. It was a nice dry night. And I wake up and it's a little bit damp inside. And of course, when you look back on it, you realize, well, it's because you exhale and you sweat and, everything. So when if it's not properly vented, you're going to get condensation built up on the inside. So night number 2, we were going to get a bunch of rain. And so I thought, well, okay, I checked my rain fly. It was good. And then I looked up to the ceiling. I'm like, oh, there's a big opening in the ceiling of the tent. I better zip that up so rain doesn't get in there. Well, you can tell I'm not a professional tenter, because when I woke up in the morning, beyond what little bit of moisture kind of infiltrated from outdoor, because I was stupid and closed up my vent completely, there was no moisture leaving the tent, and the entire inside of the tent was kind of damp. So I learned my lesson. I need to leave those open. Water collects at the head of the truck bed, at the head of the truck bed between the cap. Yeah, David Sigler says condensation. Yep, that's what it was. So first off, the very first night I slept in there with just that little 4-inch bedroll, I didn't wake up with a sore back at all. I slept like a baby. So it was awesome. So the condensation problem I need to fix. There is 2 vents up there that if I was smart enough, I would have left them open. So I'm going to do that next. So that's the first issue that I had with it. And that's my own fault. Just stupid, right? The little 500-watt PowerSmart battery bank that you guys have seen me using, that thing's awesome. It just basically sits in the corner. And what I like about using, your truck box is you've got all this extra room in there. Whereas that stupid little tent I had last year, my head was in the corner at one end, my feet at the other, and there was no room for anything in the tent. So what is nice about this is there's room to stand up if I'm hunched over. There's room to stretch out without touching either end, and there's room to keep that little power box up at the front there. So I did travel, which is kind of funny, with a little box fan that I'm going to leave down there. But I used it the second night. First night was nice and cool. You didn't need it. But the second night was really good. The little white noise machine I've been traveling with that's supposedly USB-C rechargeable won't take a charge. Worked great until it died, and now it won't charge. So that was a bit of a disappointment. I went and bought a new one tonight at Target. This one was supposed to be USB micro, which pissed me off. I opened it up. It's been upgraded to USB-C. The thing's even smaller than the last one, so it may be a good upgrade. At Prepper Camp, I'm going to need more than the 500 watts, and I'm going to have 3 nights in the tent, so that's what the big 0.0 energy solar system is going to be for. I'm going to have the foldable panels out, so that's going to be nice. What else can we say? Oh, one other thing. So the bedroll was great. But you know how there's ridges or like divots, like it goes up and down in the back of a truck box. So it wasn't sore. It didn't hurt you to lay on them, but you could feel them. So what I'm thinking is either a piece of fairly dense foam or like a rubber, yoga mat or something that you could put down under the bedroll would make it perfect. Other than that, yeah, it was great. The water, one thing for the installation, have you ever put one of those in? So at the head of the box, between the box and the cab of the truck, make sure you get that pulled up and over the box of the truck, because it ended up acting like like a Ziploc bag, and it collected water. It was about 4 inches of water sitting there. And when I got up in the morning, I pushed it up and it all splashed out, which was good. So it wasn't infiltrating the tent. So it was fairly waterproof. But an upgrade I made is I went to, the outdoor store over here that I really like that's big in Tennessee. Went there today. I picked up 10 by 12 tarp and a bunch of elastic bungees. So it's going to give me a second rain fly. So we've been watching the weather, because that's what we do, even though we can't control it, for Prepper Camp. And it was giving great, and then it was giving massively shitty, and now it's giving great again. But I don't want to be caught with my metaphorical pants down. So I just got a blue tarp and a bunch of the kind of elasticy bungees. So I'm just going to run it over the entire thing, basically to kind of channel the water up and over the front of the tent. It wasn't Bass Pro. You know what? Let me look it up here. I always forget the damn name of that place. It's because we don't have them up in Canada, which is whatever, stupid. So we'll look up my search history here for you guys, and I can tell you what it was, I think. But Academy Sports and Outdoors. I love that place. I've bought boonie hats there. I've bought belts there. I bought my noise-canceling range earmuffs there last year. Sunglasses, a Right in the Rain notebook. And yeah, Dick's. Nope, not Dick's this time. So yeah, so anyway, love that place. And they have a ton of good stuff. Their prices are decent. And they're kind of all over the Tennessee, Kentucky area. Yeah. So beyond that, for the tent, this tarp will make it, should be 100 to 99.8% waterproof at that point. It's surprisingly easy to get in and out of with the tailgate there, even where I was parked on a bit of a hill. No issues at all. It's sturdy. Setup time, I think I will have down to about 5 minutes after 3 or 4 times of doing it. Tear down's like 2 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. Hey, says M, I never know what that is, Mr. Sure or something like that, says best prices on guns too. Yeah, well, I wish I could buy one and take it back with me, but and Byron says Academy's a good store. I stopped there, and I think it's Cape Girardeau or something in Kentucky ages ago when I was coming down. I picked all my stuff up for my first trip to Tactical Response so that I'd have it before I went to Prepper Camp. because I knew I wouldn't have time on the other end. And I've just kind of fallen in love with it ever since. I've been back probably 10 or 12 times now over the last year and a half. So yeah, I like it. So tent setup. David Sigler says you don't like dicks. Weren't they the ones that, I don't know, somebody was boycotting them, weren't they? But anyway, yes, I know what you're doing there, David, and I'm just going to ignore you because sometimes, children, right? This was kind of interesting. I figured I'd mention it, but I picked up some of the Cottonelle XL wipes. They're like the dude wipes or whatever. Obviously they're nowhere near as good as having a shower, but when you're camping and you have no access to shower, they are, they were effective. Let's put it that way. They don't wear out super easy. They don't tear up. So if you're looking for a recommendation, I'll show a picture of them at some point. But since we're talking about that sort of thing, yeah, it's quite a big package. And yeah, they work. They clean you up enough that at least you don't feel like an absolute heathen. I don't know what Becky would say, but it was what it was. So yeah, beyond that, like I told you, I'm taking 2 or 3 days to do my thing. This was planned. This was some planned downtime. So, 36 days, you're like, yeah, you got to make the absolute most of every minute. Well, part of making the most of every minute is making sure you don't absolutely destroy yourself too. So I'm going to take these next couple of days. I don't know if I will go anywhere tomorrow. Maybe just go out, get a bite to eat. I'm going to do quite a bit of computer work. I got some tech stuff that needs to be done, some kind of little bit of stuff on the YouTube channel, but it just a lot of stuff needs to be done beyond that. So there's that. I need to send off all the patches in the mail. I have to, let's see what else we got. I had a whole list of things. Oh yeah, put final touches on Prepper Camp presentation. I'm due for some laundry to get done. I pack about a week's worth of stuff because I don't want to be hauling 3 or 4 weeks worth of clothes in the suitcase. So we'll get that done. Just kind of a couple of down days because then it's straight into 3-4 days, basically 4 days because you show up on Thursday at Prepper Camp. And so that, that it's great. I love it. I'm sure there'll be lots of bourbon drinking. And if I meet up with Joel, there might be some cigar smoking too. Actually, I know Joel will be there, so that'll be good. And then back to Tennessee to start working on the property for a bit. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Oh, yeah. So let's see. A couple other things. Becky had a rough day at the daycare today. She had to, she dealt with a personnel issue that's been a long time coming, and I'm really, really proud of her, and she needs to know that. That's as far as I'm going to go with it, but that woman's an incredible woman to deal with that while I'm on the road. So I just wanted to shout out to her and tell her how much I love her and how great she is. Also, and if she's listening tonight, I never even had a chance to tell her about this, but I also had to facilitate an eviction today while on the road. So I'm driving on the highway and I get a message and say, hey, still haven't got the rent from so-and-so. Turns out so-and-so lost the job, and my helper, who I hire when I'm gone, went up and posted the notice at the property. So that's going to happen while I'm gone. But, it's great having Nick and Leia as my employees while I'm gone. They take care of shit so much, and they help me not have to worry. Not one instance of anxiety today when I got that message. So I was like, yeah, that is great. Fucking great. Yeah, I love it. So those guys, if you happen to catch this episode, I think the world of you as well. But it was kind of interesting. Oh, yes. Guess what? I know you guys probably saw this, but I got to Waffle House today. Some people think, what the hell's wrong with that dude? Why does he like Waffle House so much? And I don't know if I can quite put my finger on it. I don't know if it's the grease and the grime, or the cook sitting outside smoking the cigarettes, or the fact that you'll see a guy pull up in a BMW wearing a $1,000 suit right next to a Mexican gardener, both going in there for the same food. I don't know what it is, but I friggin' love Waffle House. The whole experience of it. So I got my fix. I got one in Indiana before I even hit Kentucky yet. So that was rather cool. And the most exciting, is that the right word? I don't know. I knew this would happen. And I can't remember if I actually mentioned this on a podcast or not yet, but I said how uneventful my trip has been so far. Well, that changed today, guys. So for anybody of you, you may not have noticed the thumbnail, but I had some rather exciting happening while I was on the highway. So anyway, first off, Josik was driving yesterday, and he mentioned he'd come across an accident. I wanted to make sure that he wasn't involved, or it wasn't a close call for him. It turned out it wasn't. Well, I had a close call today. I was driving sensibly, so it wasn't a safety risk for me, but got the old heart racing for a minute. So let's picture this. I'm in 4 lanes. I'm not exactly sure if I'd actually crossed into Kentucky yet or not, but the traffic was moving. I'm second from the fast lane. So you get fast lane, next lane, that's where I am. And then in one from the slow lane is a transport truck. Turns out it's a lady driving. And inside there on the slow lane is a beige colored medium-sized sedan driving up the inside. Now, they were in the blind spot of the truck, but they weren't changing lanes. They weren't, technically they weren't doing anything illegal. So what I'm about to tell you, in this instance, I believe was the truck's fault. So, well, no, I don't believe it was. So for whatever reason, the truck puts her signal on and decides to move over to the right lane. Unbeknownst to themselves, this little beige sedan was in their blind spot, about to just clear the front bumper. Basically did a pit maneuver. Have you ever seen a pit maneuver on vehicles? Except what happened was, as she pulls to the right, she flips the car sideways, and you can see it in the picture. I don't know what possessed me to snap a picture as I was slamming on the brakes on the highway, but I managed to get a photo of it for stupid reasons. And transport truck is still kind of probably at this point doing about 50 miles an hour, starting to slow down, gets the car completely sideways in front of it and starts pushing it down the highway. The smoke's rolling off the tires, and the lady just looks panicked. And you see all this. This all happens in about 2 seconds, but you see it all kind of in slow-mo, of course, right? And so I reach over, hit my 4-way flashers, start slowing down, and I was really impressed. So as the transport truck backs off, the lady who was in the accident had the forewithal to kind of hit the gas just a little bit. She straightens herself out and then makes a dive bomb to the outside shoulder of the road, gets parked, puts her 4-way flashers on, and you can tell they're perfectly fine. And I'm just kind of going right by, and I look behind me, and there's cars coming everywhere. We have a transport truck on one side on the interstate and the lady on the other. They were all perfectly fine. The door of the sedan was beaten up pretty bad. And you could tell that the truck driver, as I'm going by, I looked up and she knew she screwed up. So I don't know if that's enough for a truck driver to lose their license or not, but it was certainly enough for me to get rather excited while I was driving. And I'm really glad absolutely nobody was hurt. I'm also really glad I didn't have to stop on the interstate in that instance, but it was rather exciting. So yeah, perfect pit maneuver. Even though it was the truck driver's fault in this instance, because they were the one changing lanes, a person needs to be cognizant of being in that blind spot. Just whatever you do, if you can help it. And I say this as somebody who does it on occasion. If I get on the inside lane and I've got a truck who is kind of slowing down a little bit, I don't tend to back off and pull onto the inside so you can see me better. I tend to just let myself ride up and go past him. And that, I'm sure that's what happened. I think if I go back and kind of think about it again, I'm pretty sure the truck was trying to slow down to get over into the lane and make an exit, but didn't see the car that was there. So yeah, part of being a good driver is not getting in an accident, even if it isn't your fault. What do they call it? Defensive driving. So that lady put herself in a bad spot, but still, it was what it was. I mean, you got that little tiny car that's right here. So you got a transport truck and then a little car right here, right in that blind spot. And it's too low to see up and over the front of the vehicle. So I hope the lady didn't lose her license for it. But that's the first accident that I've witnessed 100% from start to finish since I've been traveling through the States. It was exciting. Joker Lee says, I can't even count the number of times I've had that happen to me as a transport driver, but I do know there were a lot more on the highway that I've seen that could have been avoided for one reason. So question, how that, so yeah, Jokerleys, I'd love to hear this because I don't shit on, yes, right, there you go. Jokerly says, get the blankety blank 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 transport driver up off the damn floor so they can see better in those blind spots. That's, you answered the question. So is that a truck manufacturer issue, or is that a driver who has their seat too far back? What's going on there? Or is it because we don't have the European style trucks with no nose on the front end? Just curious if you have any suggestions for what would solve that, because again, another thing I've been watching, and I know why truckers do it, but I've seen a half dozen times where the trucker hit their blinker to pull out because somebody's on the shoulder with their four-ways on and damn near caused an accident again. But I'm off that hobby horse. But this sucked. And what can a trucker do to make sure there's nobody in that spot? Because that would have been impossible for them to see. And I love that. Nope, he says that's an ID10T transport driver error, especially amongst those who think they're super truckers. Yep, the ones that get their license out of a Cracker Jack box. Yeah, that sucks. So I guess maybe what they could have done was hit their brakes enough to make sure they've gone back far enough that there's not a vehicle stuck in their drive spot. See, David Sigler says, why does Tim hate female truck drivers? I got to say, I was really surprised when I looked up and thought, holy shit, that's a woman driving. Because, I love watching truck drivers. I try to give them, when you've got one that's coming at you and has to make a wide turn while you're at an intersection, I always try to keep my head up and stay back far enough so they always have room, because I didn't drive truck for very long, but I do have my class 1. And so, I always wave and I always make eye contact with truckers when I can. And man, I don't know if I can count on both hands how many female truck drivers I've seen over the years. So yeah, sucked for her. And I really hope that she doesn't, like I said, anyway, I don't need to repeat that again. So Jokerly says, sit up higher. I despise seeing drivers who think they need a shifter that's 9 feet high, but then sit down on the floor so they're only seeing out between the steering wheel and the dash. Yes, that makes sense. I know they probably think they're comfortable, but yeah, I don't know if it's airbags or whatever, air ride suspension. And David Sigler says, does Canada not allow women to drive trucks? That's kind of rude. No, as a matter of fact, Canada allows anybody to drive trucks, and even including 3-year-olds. So as you can see by the some of the accidents that happen up here. But yeah, so that's good to know, Jokerleys. Thanks for sharing that, because it was, I'm just glad, because, when you see a 4-wheeler hit by an 18-wheeler, a lot of times shit can go sideways. And that driver, the truck driver, she did an incredible job keeping that from becoming a much worse scenario. She didn't lock it up, but she slowed down very quickly. Nobody panicked. Both drivers did exactly what you need to do in a situation like that. And they had a little bit of luck on their side, considering, well, maybe not luck. No, I should say that, the traffic was following everything far enough that everybody had time to slow down enough to make sure nobody got hit. So it was really great. And Jokerly says, and there's a lot of female drivers out there now and getting to be more and more. And I think it's friggin' awesome. And I've heard that, and you do see it and you hear it on TV, but it was really cool to, yeah. And I'm not saying, that they don't exist, just that it was kind of neat to see one, even if she was in an accident today, poor thing. So that was the excitement for today. Another shout out I got to give you guys right quick is I met Aaron's mother and father at the workshop meetup, Aaron from Two Chicks Homestead, and I loved them to death. They were great. Her dad was hilarious. We joked around a lot, and he was busting my balls about how I didn't like White Castle. And to be honest, the only time I really had White Castle was at like 2:00 in the morning on Fremont Street in Las Vegas, and it was shit. But I think it's because I got it with all those fried onions on it. Didn't like it. So I didn't tell him this while he was telling me I needed to try it, but in my head, I said, okay, I'm going to try it again. So I went tonight and I got some of the cheese and bacon sliders without the onions on them. And I got to say, I'm going to say it, I was wrong. They were really good, despite the fact that I was expecting some sort of dog food consistency. I think my mind caused me to misremember it because of the onions. So I really enjoyed it. Oh, man. Yeah, so that was good. I'm just going to, tomorrow, it's going to be the normal stuff. A chill day. I'm super stoked about getting to prepper camp. Can't wait to get there. I got a nice little hotel room here. It's a Best Western Premier. again, I've talked about the benefits of collecting points, but I've got enough points now. I think we're at diamond level, which tells you a lot anyway. And so I've got enough points, I think just about 2 free nights, which is cool. You get a little bag of goodies, water and snacks and stuff when you show up, and they just, you get treated really well. So, if you can, and also the app. So something else that I do now, one more little hack, is I pull up to the hotel. So the night before I look at the hotel I make sure there's lots of rooms left, and then that's where I head. And when I pull, just in case I'm going to not make it there, I don't book the hotel, because you can save about $12 a night if you book the if you make the uncancelable reservation. But of course, if you're 6 or 8 hours away, then I don't always want to do that. So what I do now is when I get really close to the hotel, or I pull into the hotel, I just look and I'm like, yeah, that looks like a decent place. So then I book the uncancelable reservation right there in the parking lot. And then I walk in and say, hey, I have a reservation. So I got this place for 2 nights for about $150, which if you could see this place, I paid almost that much per night at some hotels. So, hey, Jules, good to have you. I said, running way late. I'll catch the replay. So yeah, that's been my excitement for the last few days. I really wanted to just give you guys the rundown of the workshop meetup before it all went away with memories from Prepper Camp. I'll do this again after Prepper Camp. I'll do this again after Midwest Preparedness Project, and I'll do it again after the Self-Reliance Festival. And we'll probably I'm going to do a recorded live roundup at every event. We're also going to have the workshop work day at Delinquents Gully, which will be fun. I'm stoked about that. And it's just going to be good to see everybody, guys. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I know I like to put these out here because they become these little time capsules that I can go back in the winter and think, oh man, I'm not going to the States for a while. Well, you know what? I can sit here and I can enjoy it and have a good time. And Jules, I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Midwest Preparedness Project as well. Can't wait. It's going to be a good time. I know Nicole's going to be there as well. So it'll be, I love it. I love doing this. It's worth every minute I spend on the road. It's worth every penny I spend on the road. And this is the life that I want to live. This is Becky's building the life that she wants to live. And we're building the life together that we both want to live. And a huge portion of that is because of this great workshop community. So guys, you're friggin' awesome. I love you. Thanks for dropping in. We had, I think, 15 or 16 live viewers tonight, which for a Monday night at a weird time screws everybody up. And I didn't even post it other than a non-pinned comment in Telegram. So it was good seeing you. I can't promise when there'll be another live stream. I might, in the back of my head, I'm shooting for Wednesday night right now. But again, I can't promise. We'll see where we end up. And if not, I can't wait to meet you either, Kyle, at Self-Reliance. It's going to be a lot of fun. So guys, do not forget to listen to Nate and Aaron's episode on Wednesday, Two Chicks Homestead. If you're not following their podcast yet, add them to your podcast feed to fill your ear holes with some incredible podcasting. So with that, guys, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great friggin' week.